Go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody to the call. We'll get some people that will hop on here shortly. For those of you that have been on our call before, you know me. I'll be your host today, Chris Lester. For those of you that have not been here, we'll go through the format here in a second. So, I wanted to present something a little different than what I've done in the past. For those of you that are new to this format, when COVID hit, we wanted to continue to bring, information, education, content to the public as we used to do, Rutgers at their business school. We were constantly trying to bring things of value to the community. And one of the things that evolved from that was this weekly chat with Chris. Now, as you may know, nothing will be sold here typically by me, right? But there is an opportunity here at the end. I want you to pay attention, but I wanted to preface that I have no vested interest in this one way or another. So I'm not compensated in any way, but this is a small business spotlight, A, and B, it's also something that is very close and personal and dear to me. I stumbled across, this style earlier this year. And it's done great things for me. I've come to know Sifu Keith Mazza, who's on the screen here with us. He and I have become pretty close and really was impressed. But before I get into that, I just wanted to just share that, my background, when I got out of the military, I've always been drawn to the martial arts. And, Sifu here will often refer to something called the martial mindset. But whether it's for, self-defense, protection, health is something that probably stood out for me first and foremost. I was watching a documentary on the History Channel about Kung Fu, and I ran across something called the Kung Fu Nun. And it really intrigued me. And the deeper and deeper of a dive I started to do, I could not believe that all of this history had been revolving around Kung Fu, unbeknownst to me. And I have had some significant amount of time in martial arts, but mine was Japanese oriented, not Chinese. But as I started to find out, and what you're going to see here, that the North American master of traditional Kung Fu Wing Chun is Keith Mazza. And Keith, if you wouldn't mind saying hello to the audience here,
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
And I feel very blessed and honored to have you here today because, part of all you that know me on this call know that I have this innate ability to sniff out things, that may or may not, let's just say, tails are stretched. So what I was able to do is find out that Keith Mazza is a real deal. He's been, I think it's over 50 years in the martial arts, right, Keith?
Yeah, Chris, a little over 50 years now.
So if you wouldn't mind telling us, I mean, how I think you're born and bred, or I don't know if you were born, but I know you were at least raised in New York. Tell us how you stumbled across martial arts in general. And then we can start to get into, maybe what, Wing Chun is and some of these other styles that you hear about.
Well, it's a little bit of an oddity. I was an Italian kid who was raised in Chinatown. My family lived on the opposite side of the track. So I was born in Chinatown, which is across from Little Italy in New York. Family next door neighbor was a famous Shaolin Kung Fu teacher. It's another version of Chinese martial arts. And pretty much a closed-door teacher. I really wasn't aware of his fame, but I grew up with his children. So where a lot of kids when they were little were playing basketball or pickup games, I was learning martial arts. And it was interesting. We learned animal styles. There were things for fitness. I mean, I did play sports, but I grew up in a Kung Fu environment.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've seen you firsthand in your history, and I think you've fought professionally. You've been to China. You've trained with, without going too much into detail, but I think the direct lineage from Ip Man, William Chung, is a grandmaster, and you've learned directly from him and are very close to him. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been with Sifu now almost 40 years, and I'm his first closed-door disciple. So I'd be Ip Man, then William Chung, then myself. So I'd be third in line.
Wow. Like I said, and when I discovered this, I felt like a kid on Christmas morning. Like I had found like this hidden well of knowledge. And anybody that knows me knows that, once I set my sights on something, I'm pretty much laser focused. So, I have some styles down here, because maybe some people, like I said, Wing Chun, and I know that you're down in Mount Laurel, right? So you're down south of Trenton, that's southern New Jersey, and
Yes.
some people might, well, it's too far or whatever. And we're going to get to that. But since I've been able to go to the Kwoon, which is the Chinese name for the workout room, since I've been able to go there, I've seen people of all ages, of all sexes, from all health abilities. Your patience and commitment, I've seen people just really embrace this. So that's something that's impressed me very, very much as well. But can you tell us a little bit of, because I didn't know what Bak Kwai was, or I still don't know what Jingyi or Qigong or Kali. Some of these Tai Chis I've heard of before. You might see that in the park when you go by and you see people moving slowly. Can you speak to that a little bit as to what maybe some of the differences are and some of the benefits from these different styles?
Well, some of the things you mentioned that I teach, Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xingyi and Wing Chun, they're just all versions of Kung Fu. I mean, so as people ask me what's Kung Fu, I mean, a lot of people who hear Kung Fu think of the old David Carradine series or Bruce Lee. Basically, any type of skill or mastery in China is known as Kung Fu. In this case, I teach it as martial arts, but a waiter could have good Kung Fu, or a taxi cab driver, or a chef. It really acknowledges a level of skill, of hard work. Kung Fu really translates hard work or a skill, a little deeper hard work over a long period of time to develop a skill. So that's Kung Fu. I mean, the internal arts, there's three mother internal arts, which focus on what you would say qigong. Qi is breath, gong is work, where it's breath work. So they start off a little softer and a little slower and a little easier. They're very good for health. They're very good for fitness, but they're also very good for self-defense. And as far as we touched on a little earlier, as far as age, to me, I don't believe there's a limit. Whatever your limitations are, we can find a way around it as long as you have the want and the will to learn. Kali is a Filipino version of martial arts based on stick and knife fighting. It also has empty hand, but it was developed in with the Filipinos. So that's just a little touch of each one of those.
Thank you very much, Sifu. And one of the things I can speak to personally. So, I was thinking about it. This time last year, I was pushing 260. And since I've started to embrace Kung Fu and have laser focused on it and committed to a lifestyle change, I've dropped 40 pounds. I'm down below 220 now, and I feel great. Your pace. What's cool is that it's very slow. Very get to whatever you can do personally, so that we're not getting injured, so that we're able to take steps. But honestly, feeling better. I must admit, I wake up sore most days, but at the end of the day, I'm better for it. So that's the one thing from people that are thinking about, hey, I've always wanted to do something. Which brings me to my next four questions. I'm going to bring and ask four questions and give you an opportunity to expand on them a little bit. So one of which is, can most people do this regardless of age, sex, or physical ailments?
Yes, there's no, like I said a little earlier, without being redundant, it doesn't matter the age. I mean, okay, so our school is predominantly adults. Like we don't, for some reason, we've just drawn to adults. Right now, our oldest student is 82 years old in school. I mean, I've
Wow.
worked with Parkinson's people. People have different types of physical limitations. I have wheelchair people. I've got blind people who come to the school. So it doesn't matter your age, sex, or physical ailments. We can train around pretty much anything. I have this thing that I talk, and I think you've heard me say it in class. Dream big, but start small, act now. So, everybody wants to get these great things. Everybody's looking for a path up the mountain. So, we're going to help you find your own path. And however it takes, again, start slow, baby steps. Let's take a push up. If you can't do a push up, I'll teach you how to hold a good position. Maybe not tomorrow, the day after, you'll get to one push up and then two. So, little by little, with the Kung Fu and fitness, it's all based on short building blocks. But no, I believe anybody can do this.
Well, I love it. And one of the things you mentioned, and one of the things that gravitated towards me, because political affiliations aside, doesn't matter to me which side of the aisle you're on. But you know what? I am concerned with where a lot of the unrest that I've seen develop in our society of late. And I have two girls, right? I have my older children, right? Keith, who's on the call, and I have my 14-year-old and I have my 12-year-old. And, I absolutely am committed to them knowing and learning self-defense. So, what's been sort of cool is that they've been down to your Queen, and I take information that I learn and I come back and I share that with them, and I can already see a level of self-confidence that, God forbid something happens, the ability to be able to at least have a shot as to hey, I know what to do, or I have a plan of action. So I really do appreciate your insight there. So what about this? Have you run across people that in the past, or maybe the mindset where people, you mentioned it just earlier, which is like someday or one day, right? So suppose somebody on the call here, or somebody watches this recording in the future, says, I've always wanted to get into martial arts, but I've always felt a little intimidated. Is this something that somebody can start and learn at some type of modest pace, and using your formula that we're going to allude to here shortly? What's your thoughts on that?
I believe the hardest part about what this question is getting people to start. The hardest thing to do is just get started, is to take the commitment to work it. Nobody should ever feel intimidated. I mean, as we've been to some of my shooting courses. You're trying to learn something you haven't learned before. So my job as your teacher, any martial artist as your teacher, should make you feel comfortable and help guide you. And to me, it's all easy to learn as long as you break it down into small pieces. The Chinese have this say, you got 1,000 questions. Well, one question, one answer. One question, one answer. So we'll take everything that you need to learn and we'll develop it one piece at a time. And you can only work at your own pace. You can only go as fast as you can go. But that's fine as long as we keep taking steps forward. So I do believe it's easy to learn if we break it apart. I mean, whatever the issue is, just take one small section at a time. So we have to work on physical fitness or self-defense or breath work or anything in that. We just take one step at a time. So I do believe it's easy to learn. No one should ever feel intimidated about learning. To me, it's just another goal-oriented person.
Well, thank you. This probably, I generated this question probably sort of with myself in mind, right? Because I used to study martial arts, but as I got older, I stopped training. I like to say I was a legend in my own mind. I thought I was better than I was. And it wasn't until I started coming to your classes and doing some of your training online that I started to go, wow, I barely have scratched the surface. Now I feel in the last 8 months that I've made improvements, but I still got a lot to go. And that's why I feel so passionate about bringing you to the public in the forefront and sharing this knowledge that I've uncovered, because I'm absolutely motivated and excited, with enthusiasm, with the coursework that you have to offer. But can you answer that question? Have you run across that before, where people from other styles come in, and what's typically the mindset that you run across?
I've found a lot of people, and everybody's a little different, Chris. Everybody has a different modality if you want to train. Some people just want to learn something new. Some people want to get off the couch. Some people, and one of the biggest complaints I've had is they've studied martial arts in places, and some of them spent quite an extensive time, 15, 20 years, and they don't feel they can apply what they've learned. And to me, I just believe it's the way it was probably disseminated to them. But to me, you're always a byproduct of everything you've done. So as far as can you integrate what you already know? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do believe that. To me, you look at a situation, and through training, my job is to help you identify precarious situations. My job is to make you look at a situation and make you feel comfortable with it. When we were doing work down at the behavioral science unit, we came to the conclusion that if your brain has no forethought to a situation, you're brand new to it, you'll have a zero response factor. So my job, as we go through the class, is to put you in some precarious situations so you gain an understanding. So we gain understanding and we incorporate our training. So anything that you've had in your past, whether it's your physical fitness attributes okay, whether it's the type of karate or grappling or what you've done, you definitely can integrate that into it, and that's how we start to build our training, because my job is not to turn you into me, it's to turn you into another version of you. You're going to grow. This is going to become your kung fu. It's going to become your art. You're going to take what you find useful and what you find most comfortable with, and that's what we'll get the building blocks from.
I love it. And I'll tell you, for me personally, that's probably been the biggest single factor that's drawn me towards you, is that I've never heard you once say, what you learned over there doesn't work. What I've heard you say is, let's build upon it, right? Let's take whatever it is that you thought that you knew, and let's figure out a strategy if something happens. Because would you agree? We were just talking about this the other day, that there is no predisposed fight plan, right? Because there's just so many variables, it's impossible. So it's just having a mindset that, hey, listen, if something happened right now, do you have some plan of action, course of action to give you a chance to defend yourself or to win?
Exactly. You've been in the school, and some people say, well, obviously this is going to happen. You never know what's going to obviously happen. You never know. I call any type of physical confrontation, whether it's one-on-one or from a security background where you're in a club or a venue, all these things, I call them critical incident defenses, because they can pop up at any time. You really don't know when they're going to pop up. They unravel very, very quickly. It usually goes from 0 to 100, as you can see what's going on in the world with the rioting and the gangs and all this craziness. So it evolves very quickly, and it can be quite deadly at times. So to give you a level of comfort to be able to identify it, I don't know what's going to happen, but in our training, as you've seen, and I don't want to get too deep into it, is there's two techniques in the world. Somebody can throw something straight or something round. So if you can identify that, that gives you a chance. So you don't know what's going to happen, but based on what they throw at you, if they throw a kick, you know how to deal with it. If they throw a punch, you know how to deal with it. If they try to grab you, you know how to identify, you know how to deal with it. So once you can identify the issues, and God forbid you're in that situation, at least you have the wherewithal and some basic knowledge that should be able to save your life.
I love it. Thank you, Sifu. And then the last question: time is in such short supply. And I know, again, I drafted this question because I think it's so important for people. I travel a lot, right? So I've been fortunate, the last couple months it's slowed down, but I am usually on the road. And one of the things that absolutely appealed to me was the ability to take you with me. So time is a short supply. Can I have a platform to learn at home, in the office, or while I'm traveling? And I know your answer to that, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer as I switch screens.
Oh, Chris, this platform, the screen that you have, the Sambal, is a platform I use to teach from. My goal of Sambal, it's kind of a twofold purpose. For the people who train with me, it's a great resource. Right now, we're just under 500 training videos up there, which encompass most of the styles that we talked of. So you can use it as a resource. I put training routines up, I'll call it homework for you to go step by step. So if you're not sure what to do, I have plans in place where, okay, on Monday, train this, Tuesday, train that, and so on and so forth throughout the week. And within those plans are physical fitness and self-defense, breath work, and meditation. So I used it as a resource. But now there are people who are interested in learning martial arts. Even so, with the pandemic, some people didn't want to leave the house, a distant thing. I have students all over Europe. I have students in Asia. I have students across the United States. Just like one of our students now is moving to Texas. She was leaving today, so she will not be able to get to me physically. So, we'll do Zoom to talk, or she wants to train. So you can go step by step. So you can go on the platform, pick an art form. There's a lot of research up there. And then it takes you step by step from level 0 all the way through to completion. So you can follow it at home. There's guidelines, there's completion stages. So while you're away, you can either follow on what we're doing at the school, and especially now that we're live streaming classes always, and they're being recorded. So you can follow the classes, do what's going on in the class. The homework is given, so what we'd be training. Or, like I said, if you want to start a platform, pick an art form and then go step by step. And what I did with the platform is, you have questions, There's a review section or a contact section where you can just write in and ask me a question. I'll never use somebody's name, but within a week, you will have a video response if you need something.
Well, that's one of the things, again, that, you've emphasized. And I think that this slide here and the next slide, whatever technique that you're demonstrating, at its core, you need to be able to answer the question, why? Why are we doing this? And so, whether it's a stance, why are we standing the way that we're standing? Or whether we're doing something, in terminology pops out. But, if I look at the next screen, and I put this on here so that, white tiger Qigong, like, why is breathing important? I mean, at its core, you hear it and you think you know it, but until you actually start to mentally wrap your head around what is it, does it make sense, until you own it. Like you said, it's your kung fu, my kung fu, or somebody that wants to try this, their style that they embrace. Would you agree that that's absolutely critically important, is understanding the why?
To me, out of all the questions, if you know the why, you can answer the rest of them. It's a shame. We've had people come into the school, and I've gone and give talks, and people ask me, well, like the wooden dummy, I do these moves, but why do I do them? I never understood why you would practice something and not know the why behind it. I mean, I know people like to learn things for posterity's sake. They just want to learn a form for the sake of learning the form. But even in the form, why are you doing it? If you understand why you're doing it, and this is not metaphysical, the form comes to life. You get to understand where you're blocking, where you're moving, what type of techniques you're facing. And it sounds crazy. I never thought I'd have to teach people how to breathe. I mean, breathing it's unconscious. You just breathe. But when it comes to a form of combat, how do you learn to control your breath? You're in a panic situation. You go into the fight or flight syndrome. All of a sudden, you start breathing. Your body goes into almost like a series of shock. And now, instead of pumping blood, you're pumping cortisol through your blood. And now everything's thick, so you're breathing heavy, and you feel like you can't move. So you need to learn how to control that. So breathing is a real key. And combative breathing is a lot different than everyday breathing, learning how to compress your breaths, take recovery breaths. So again, I'm a big fan of the why. To me, you have the why, you can answer all the rest of the questions.
And again, this was another little, feather in your cap when in all my years, I thought I knew how to breathe, but until you taught me how to put my tongue on the top of the palate of my mouth, like I didn't understand the importance of that. And then, as we've gotten to know each other, you've explained how important that is. And while I'm working, so I'm not breathing out the top of my lungs and my mouth is closed. So, and then you mentioned wooden dummy, right? So a lot of people might not even be familiar. You see these in the movies, and just having the step-by-step instruction, like you had mentioned before, somebody has a question, they can write in and says, hey, when we're doing this move on the wooden dummy, you're able to then, like you said, in confidentiality, be able to explain it to them. But I think that this is, again, you've built such an incredible content and resource for people that I wanted to share it with the community. And in the spirit of time, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, everybody's question that's on here, what's the gift cost? So, my thinking was, and when I approached you with this, is that, look, I wanted to be able to help you and create something that the public can go and look at and just make it out there in a presence. Whether people do it or don't do it, it's up to them. But what I liked about it was, hey, it's $15 a month. That's less than a gym membership at most places, right? And did you notice that all the videos that I showed, I mean, they're 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, right? They're very small tidbits. So it's not like it's this exorbitant amount of information. And the one thing that you've done recently is you've started a live stream of classes. So talk a little bit about that. So, hey, if somebody wants to and has the time, either A, they couldn't make it during work, but they wanted to come home and try it, they could actually go back and play the class from earlier that day. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Even though if you can't physically be there to see people doing it, I get up, as you know, I'm explaining it. I work out with the people in the school, but then to see how other people do it, it brings a level of comfort. It really does. So, and then, if the people in the school, one of your classmates told me the other day, he goes, man, I'm so glad you brought the live streaming up. He said, I actually got to pick up some of my mistakes. He goes, it was really nice to see. So you get an opportunity to view yourself, along with me doing the techniques. And then you'll always find your questions. Like my Sifu used to say, there's nothing new under the sun. And even when it comes to teaching, you'll find your own errors and people who come in. So you might not be able to get something right, but you'll go, hey, wait a minute. Now I know why that guy's not moving right. He's not moving his foot. He's picking up the wrong foot. And, to me, it's all a great learning process.
Thank you. And the other part of this that I thought was just absolutely a no-brainer is there's no contracts.
No.
So, if you have for me, obviously my girls, they're able to utilize my subscription, right? If I have something and we go back to we're downstairs, I can go and say, hey, don't take my word for it. I'm new for it. Let's watch Sifu. But I thought that what a great idea for somebody that wanted to give the gift of Kung Fu for the holidays, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah now that that's over, or Kwanzaa, or whatever your belief system is. Sharing is caring. If you know anybody that you think would benefit from this, we would encourage you to share, because Sifu, I really want to thank you for your time. We're at about the hour, but the last thing I want to point out is that once you get in, how do you sign up? Well, you go to www.sambo.com. But it's really important, once you put your name in, your email and all this stuff, you have to put in the search bar, Sifu Keith Mazza or Keith Mazza in the search bar. And that's the creator that will come up, and that will give you access. So that is how this was designed. Again, I've been using this since you built it. And for me, I'm a very slow and steady Eddie kind of guy, right? I'm not trying to get through all 500 videos. What I'm taking is Silam Tao. I take one thing and I break it down and I watch it over and over and over again until I get it. I'm working on set one on this wooden dummy. Like, this stuff to me is just so cool. And I'm like, why isn't everybody doing that? But if you have questions for Sifu, here's all your contact information, right? They're down in Mount Laurel. There's the office phone number there. If you want to reach out to these guys, right, you can reach out. Your wife's name is Laura, your son, Keith Jr. You can go to warriorsbreath.com, which will take you to that Sambo site that I just showed you. It's the same place. Just make sure you put in Sifu Keith, or you can write Sifu directly, right? So if you have any questions, and this is you in a picture of Master William Chung. And I wanted to put that up there so that people know that, a lot of people claim to have Kung Fu, or a lot of people say they hate Wing Chun, and there's politics aside. This is traditional. This is you're a purist. And that's one of the things, again, that it's like, it's not opinion. This is how it's been taught from grandfather to father to master, which is you. So I'm just absolutely, beyond ecstatic to have stumbled across you. And I really do appreciate everything that you've done.
Thanks,
and I want to wish everybody, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm old school. I will say it loud. I will say it proud. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, right?
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
2022. And then the other thing I have to say is this is my broker-dealer or my RIA stuff, and then my information. Everybody on the call, we appreciate you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And if you need any of us, reach out. We'll see you on our chat with Chris next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.